Well, hello and welcome everybody. This is DH Thorne, coming at you again with another Thursday Night Live exciting adventure, and I will be joined again by my inglorious bitch of a wife. No, my wonderful wife. What's going on?
Damn it, I like the other introduction better.
Did you?
Yeah.
Your head's just a little bit cut off, but I think
Okay.
you're okay. You might want to tip it up just a little. That's better. There we go. Yes, I knew you'd like that. The inglorious wifey person. How about
That's right.
that? Inglorious? You like inglorious?
Yeah, I like bitch too.
Whew. Damn, I gotta be careful around you. You're gonna get me in trouble with some kind of censor somewhere.
No,
So,
you could say that on TV now.
Oh, you can?
Yeah,
I don't mean that kind of censor. I mean, like, the people who, like, always get mad and offended about everything.
they can only be mad and offended if I am too, and I'm not.
So hello and welcome everybody. We've got the usual suspects tonight. We've got Wyatt Coverdale. We've got Gage the Mage commenting on my beautiful luscious locks, which sometimes I never regret cutting it, but sometimes I regret cutting it. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sin is here, SYNN, and the Hermit is here, and yeah, Wyatt Coverdale. Yeah, Wyatt Coverdale. So we got a few people here yet. They're gonna filter in, of course. Takes a few minutes. It takes a few minutes usually for everybody to start filtering. There we go. Inesh, Kelly Meadows, Tess Marie. What's up, Tess Marie? How you doing? Psychic Humayara. I'm never gonna get there. It's something about it doesn't roll. I'm gonna call you Psychic. It's a good name. It doesn't roll. It's like too many. It's like my Long Island mouth doesn't fit around that many syllables that way.
I think your brain's moving faster than your eyes is what it is.
Yeah. Like I see it registers, but I just can't get it into words. Valorius, what's up, brother? Go. And yeah, okay, so we're good so far.
Awesome.
And we've had some interesting comments already. A wise man once said you can pee-pee without poo-poo, but you can never poo-poo without pee-pee. I disagree. I think you can. I definitely have had poo-poo without pee-pee moments. But yeah. So yeah. Says thoughts on Necronomicon, the name of the dead, the book of dead names. So here we go. The Necronomicon is, regardless of what its origins are, it is a book of celestial theurgy utilizing symbolism from the best known understanding of Akkadian Sumerian mythology. As a book based on actual Akkadian Sumerian mythology, it is, to my understanding, the current knowledge of Sumerian Akkadia is way better. And you can tell that it was written in the period that it was written. It's got things in it that were clearly what would have been available to the academics of the time who studied such things. And it wasn't even really that perfect at that point. But it is actually not a bad system at all. One of the things to be mindful of is that it is sort of a, it's sort of like if you ever get a skin for any program that you might use, like a skin for your web browser or something that changes the colors. It's sort of like that. It's sort of like a skin for astrological theurgy that you might do, where instead of working with the planets in the usual sense, where you call them Venus and Neptune and all those things, you go by the Greek names. Maybe you might integrate Aphrodite and all that, if you want to go with them more in those names, whatever the planetary names are for you, because the symbols don't change all that much. The names change, but the meanings of the symbols are pretty close. That is to say that because Sumerian and Akkadian mythology is a Proto-Indo-European mythology, it is going to have a lot of similarities between the different gods, goddesses, and cosmological, where heaven and hell are and what they're like and so on. So there's a lot of similarity, and, this is why it is still effective, because it still uses mostly the same symbols. When I say symbols, I don't mean the words necessarily, or the language necessarily, or the names necessarily. What I'm talking about by symbols is what each of these things represent archetypally. You know, you have the sun, you have the moon, you have all the different planets that you've got to work through, because each one of those different gates that you have to walk in the Necronomicon are celestial gates. And the Necronomicon is interesting. It was obviously written by somebody who knew high ceremonial theurgical magic. They obviously knew this very well. The Watcher that they are referencing, there's different interpretations of what that means when they talk about the Watcher. My personal preference for that interpretation is your own, what Crowley and others might have called your higher guardian angel. I sometimes call it your inner guru. It is a fetch, but it is also sort of like, you know, when you hear me talking and you go, wow, D.H. Thorne really knows what he's talking about. What makes you think that, right? Where does that Thorne knows what he's talking about feeling come from? Well, it's got to come from a position of, you agree with me because there's some sort of agreement. Like you feel like you've heard something similar, or it fits, and you think I'm right because some inner part of you agrees. That's your inner guru. That is your guardian guide, your inner guide. Okay. So that inner guide, that inner guardian, that whatever you want to call it. Okay. There is a personification of it. And it can personify itself in many different ways. The first time I ever encountered mine was in the form of Ronzael, which later I have identified for others as an archetype for a specific shadow. The Ronzael I know as my own Ronzael is not the same Ronzael you're going to encounter in your shadow, your shadow work. Okay, Ronzael is just what, in some ways if I did Shadownomicon 2, I'd probably take the name out. Simply for the fact that whatever you're going to see is going to be unique to you. But it will fit that archetype, and there's a lot of refinements I've been doing lately. This is why I have been a little bit silent on my work, is that I have been refining so many things and sort of, revising my metaphysic, my cosmology. I was talking to my wife the other night at Buffalo Wild Wings about this. It was pretty fun. And like, it was like I was just barfing it all out like I was doing a live stream, and she was trying to eat her food. And like between bites of chicken, I'm explaining like things that like are mind blowing, like pretty fucking cool. And I'm
It
like,
all made sense though.
yeah, well, it's like I couldn't concentrate on my food. I was so busy chattering away. So the Necronomicon as a system of celestial theurgy is absolutely viable. There's no reason why it shouldn't work. People who think magic is based on supernatural, literally supernatural forces that go by specific names, and if you get the names wrong, you're going to get it wrong. People who see magic that way, they're entitled to that experience. In some ways, their experience is going to be more interesting than mine, admittedly. In some ways, someone who's a true believer in the superstition and the supernatural is going to have a more exciting adventure of magic, I think, in a lot of ways. But that doesn't mean that that's how it actually works. It's just that they will sort of fall under the same superstitions and get stuck. It tends to pull them out of reality. Now, here's the deal, okay? There are quintessential aspects, quintessential archetypes, quintessential aeons that repeat in human experience to some degree of universal, experience. That is to say, everybody will have a version of this quintessential idea. And for most Western, anything, even all the way to India has very similar, if not the same. Some of them are exactly the same. Some of them are just very similar interpretations of the planets, okay, and the celestial houses and all of those things. Astrology is kind of the same no matter where you go. You don't really get into anything resembling a real significant difference until you get to like Japan or something. Like Japan has a lot of unique ideas that are inspired in some ways by stuff that comes from India via the long road of the Silk Road. But a lot of that stuff you know, for most of the civilized world, from Europe till like Middle Asia somewhere, to the edge of, like, you know, middle of China somewhere, it's all pretty much utilizing some of the same language, just in a cultural reference it's a little different. Jupiter means roughly the same thing in every culture. When we say Jupiter, we're talking about Zeus, we're talking about Enlil, we're talking about Indra, we're talking about, you know, there's so many different versions of it. And they usually, and Thor, that's also a Jupiter archetype. So there's a lot of spirits that are masks for that archetype, and that archetype projects into our reality in many ways. The mistake we make is to think the planet is the archetype. The planet's not the archetype. The planet is just a celestial symbol for that archetype. You know, the literal planet Jupiter doesn't control your luck or fortune or fertility or any of that crap. Literal planet Jupiter doesn't control jack shit. That's an archon. When you think that something controls something, that's an archon. It's bullshit. But it does correspond. It absolutely corresponds directly to those things. Not the planet, though. The planet is just a light in the sky, as far as most people should be concerned. That doesn't mean that you won't notice correspondences, though. It doesn't mean that when Jupiter is in a certain position in the heavens, certain things don't seem to become more obvious to us. Does that mean that it's causing those things? Well, I did a video not too long ago where I sort of compared astrology like this. I said, if you're driving down the road, I'm sort of going to paraphrase and make it longer. If you're driving down the road and you fly off the road, the sign that said slippery when wet didn't cause you to fly off the road, okay? But ignoring the sign definitely made it easier for you, more likely for you to slide off the road. So when the heavens are in a certain alignment, it doesn't mean you're going to slide off the road. It doesn't mean certain things are going to happen. It just means you should be paying attention, okay? If you want to learn something, if you want to have an awareness expansion, shall we say, being mindful of those things during those periods, like when Mercury's in retrograde, it doesn't mean you're gonna fucking fuck up all your communication. What it means is you should be more mindful of how you communicate and be more aware and sensitive to miscommunication. That's what it really means. It does not mean that you're going to be unable to communicate. That is the superstitious view. So it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad that as the superstitious view overtakes people, because human beings are in an egoistic state. We're tool using animals. We look at the heavens and go, how can we make this into a tool? And we did. We turned it into a calendar, into a clock, and it's obviously connected to our life cycles. So there is this feeling like they control each other, but correspondence, you know, correlation does not equal causation, and there's a lot of correlation, but not a lot of causation between astrology and our life. People hear that are like superstitious. That's even better. I like to call them stupidstitious. People who are stupidstitious tend to believe these things do things. And they hear me say these things and they get offended, or they get, oh, well, he's never had a real experience. Like, well, if I'm 45 years old, I've seen some weird shit. I've had missing time. I've been driving from a state that should have taken 8 hours to get back, took 3. Weird shit has happened to me. I've seen things. I've done things. Things I can't explain with known laws. I've experienced them. But at the same time, I am still skeptical of the hard superstitious perspective, because it doesn't fit. This idea that, oh, you just don't know, or you don't know the right words, or you didn't work with the spirits just right, is bullshit. It's always been bullshit. It's provably bullshit. You can test anyone who would say such a thing. If you get to know them, they're probably living in their mom's basement and crazy. You know, there's like a varying degree of crazy at work there, guaranteed. But that doesn't mean that you ignore it. I forget, was it JP Morgan said, no millionaire uses astrology. Billionaires do. That's an interesting statement by JP Morgan, isn't it? That is a very interesting statement by JP Morgan. Why would he say that? Okay, that's a very interesting statement. Does that mean billionaires use astrology to cause shit to happen? No. They are aware of the correspondences that astrology has, just like with tarot. Tarot is a correspondence system. Okay. And then, you know, those correspondences, they're able to teach you about yourself. They're able to teach you about the world. They're able to teach you about the goings on of the world. It's like I said, it's like a sign that says slippery when wet, you know, slippery or road freezes before, bridge ices up before road or something like that. These signs, they tell you, you know, sharp turns ahead. They tell you to be mindful of what's going on. They're not saying it's going to happen. They're saying focus your attention here. And if you focus your attention here, your experience will interestingly benefit. How it benefits is not really predictable, but you will have a more vivid and rich experience because of it. I promise you that. I absolutely promise you that. You don't have to focus your whole life on it. Don't become obsessed with it. Just take note of it. Use it as an interesting. Eddie, I love you, man. I love that. Yeah, because I think I made that. Screw you, space dots. That's what I refer to astrology as, space dots. I forget, Eddie and I were having like a crazy night. He was talking about something astrological, and I don't remember what happened, but I was kind of in a, you know, fuck it all and fuck you kind of mood. Nothing negative, just like I was like crazy. And like I was just feeling it, and I was like, yeah, fuck. I think he was having a bad day, and it was like the astrology was giving us all a headache, and we're like, yeah, fuck you, space dots. I love that one. Fuck you, fucking space dots. That's what they are. They're fucking space dots. So going back to the Necronomicon will, however, be like, you've got to do it this way or else. Now there's a reason for that. You've got to take it seriously on some level. Like, I'm guilty of this. One of the things I'm guilty of, one of my biggest shortcomings in my own art, is I don't always take it seriously. I see through it too well. Like, you know, like a magician who knows how to do all the tricks, you know, like a stage magician, they know all the tricks. If they go to a fucking magic show, do they have fun anymore? Nowhere near as much. No. Nope. They know how it works, so it's really hard to take seriously now. Okay, I see through a lot of these things, and so when I see them, they don't instill in me the same sense of like superstitious belief, and that sort of it takes something out of it a little bit. I know that what I'm dealing with is not the superstitious thing that everybody else wants it to be, right? Does that mean that I don't take it seriously? No, it just means that, you know, I'm also, I guess because of the kind of fiery sign that I am and certain things, I can be very intense, but I burn out, and I can burn out on things. I get interested and I burn out. You know, there's no question that happens to me too. So I'll get really into it for a while and I'll be very faithful, but like all fire, I'm not that faithful, guys. I burn things through, you know, and I'm faithful to you. I saw that look. I saw that look.
No, I'm thinking it happens to everybody with everything within reason.
Within reason, but for me, it's like, yeah, no, like I can't keep doing the same thing forever. Anyway, but the Necronomicon requires that you do all these things very, very, very thoroughly, very, very thoroughly. And if you do them very, very thoroughly, the experience will be that much more rewarding, you know, simply because putting effort into these things charges them with like intellectual energy. All right, you're charging it with psycho-spiritual energy, attention, emotion, intention, desire, all these egoistic qualities. You're charging it with that, and so when it happens, whammo, it's going to be way more effective. If you just treat it like, oh, I should do it that way, well, I can't get that stuff, so if you do it half-assed, it doesn't work. It doesn't have the effect. And this is true in all forms of magic. This is why sometimes simple magic is better for people, because you can't help but do it the whole ass, because it's like literally just lighting a candle. You know what I mean? If you've got like big high ceremonial magic and you just do it half-assed, you're not going to enjoy it that much.
When it's half-assed and you know it, it really breaks immersion.
It really does. And one of the worst rituals I've ever done was like, I was feeling so out of it, so not into it, and I did it so half-assed, and it had a massive like rebound. Like it definitely didn't feel good, and I suffered for. I'm still affected by it in some ways. You know, this half-ass magic is not smart. It's like the worst thing you can do. And then a lot of people confuse half-ass for, you know, by the seat of the pants magic, and they're not the same thing.
Yep.
Very often, though, people will use by the seat of the pants magic as an excuse to half-ass their magic, though. That is, unfortunately, a pitfall of both things. You know, people will say, oh, well, I don't need to use that specific metal that the ritual calls for. I'm going to half-ass it, or, you know, in other words, I'm going to improvise. Okay. And they could go out and do the thing. It is available. It's out there, but they do it the simplest way. And sometimes when that is done as a shortcut, you're going to have a blunder. So let me give you an example. If you are like me, I'm an adult-ass, grown-ass man. I can have fire in my house anytime I want. If the ritual, the way it's written, the way I visualized it, envisioned it, learned it, read it in a book, whatever, calls for a flame. If I'm sitting here and my candle and shit's right here, I can't get flame going, and I just go, oh, you know what? I'll just visualize it because I don't feel like digging for my lighter or something. That's not effective. But let's say I'm at work and I want to do a ritual on the spot. Well, I can't have a fire at work. Someone's going to be weird about that if I try to do a ritual at work. So you know what I might do? In that situation, improvisation by the seat of the pants is actually okay. What I will do is I will use the symbol of fire, usually a picture or something else that's symbolic of flame. I will use that in its place. I might even just draw a picture of the ritual, like little stick figures and shit doing things.
Even
Am I saying that?
Even on your phone, queue up some YouTube with like the fire background, you know?
Exactly, stuff like that. Exactly. So what people don't realize though is that what you're doing is you're again, people are still hung up on this idea that magic changes reality. That if you do the ritual right, it works. Part of the problem here is that what we're looking for is when you think that a magic ritual causes a change in reality, that's a misunderstanding of what's happening. The ritual is supposed to cause a change in perception, a change in expectation, perception, change of your attention, where your attention is. And by doing that, you are more inclined to see the miracle that you are meant to see. Does that mean that it will be the miracle your ego desires? No, it does not. Does that mean that it won't be what your ego desires? No, sometimes it absolutely is. Sometimes your egoistic desire is spot on, dead on balls accurate, and the thing that you desire will happen whether you do a ritual or not. I often bring up the case in point where I was sitting with my wife watching a video from EA going, wouldn't it be some shit if I ended up working with them someday? And when I said it, I felt it. I felt like I just fell into another universe where that was true. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I had a creepy feeling like that wasn't a question, but a command. And lo and behold, years later, I end up having, a relationship with them as doing work together, So what part of that was a ritual? What part of that was an intention? This whole idea of intention. I hate, as much as I've used the word intention as an important concept, I hate it too. I think it's also a stupid word. Can you intend to do something? Let me ask you guys, go into the, give yourself a minute and really meditate on this question. Can you intend to do something you didn't already intend to do? How do you shape your intentions? Let's be honest here. Really, I'm going to shut up. I'm going to count to 10. I'm going to wait for your comments. How do you shape your intentions? How do you force your intentions to do something? So I'm going to shut up. 10 seconds. Whatever your answer is, you got to look before you even tried to answer it for the answer. You can't shape your intentions. Your intentions are what they are. Your intentions are, if you intend to change your intentions, that's an intention, right? So what intended that intention and what intended that intention? Where's the source of your intentions? There is no source of intentions. There is no way to change your intentions. The minute you think, I'm going to change my intentions, the intention was already there. So you think that you have, in other words, you have no control over this process. This is ego talking. This is ego talking. This is ego talking every fucking time. It's ego talking. When you say, I'm going to change my intentions, I'm going to change my will, I'm going to use my will to do this, that is an echo after the fact. It's already long since time when anything could be changed. Ego takes credit for everything that is already done. This is why magicians give me a headache sometimes. I mean that in the nicest possible way. They give me a fucking headache because they'll sit there and be like, well, I will myself to do this. Ow, what the fuck? Where the hell do you come up with that shit? Who the hell is trying to will anything? Who's this will that thinks it's going to have will over itself? Who the fuck are you? And who put that idea into your head? You see what I'm getting at? This is the Russian nesting doll of will. There is no prime mover, shall we say. There is no source. There is no origin for this will. There is just the will. There is just the Tao. The Tao is the will of the divine, in motion all the time. The Tao is water. The Tao is the water element, flowing, always flowing, ever flowing, and it's an unstoppable force. That is will. But you can't control your will. It's an unstoppable force. How do you control it? It goes where the fuck it's gonna go. How do you control it?
Real quick, you got a super chat.
Oh, cool. Can you read it? I see you got
Yes.
your eyeballs on.
Oh, yeah, my phone's charging up. I can read it now.
Oh, thank you, sweetie.
It's from T2AV. $5.
$5.
Good to see ya. I always seem to miss your live streams, not by choice. Love your book I just bought. It's great. Highly recommend. Keep it up, brother.
Thank you so much, Space Monkey. I love that picture. Space Monkey is cool. Thank you so much. I appreciate the $5 Canadian by the look of things. That's worth more than American now, I believe. You guys went from being less money than ours per dollar, and now I think you get more for your money than mine. So thank you very much for that 5 spot. I appreciate it a whole lot. And that's really freaking awesome. So this goes back to, like, Alan Watts gave lectures on this a lot. It was actually one of those early revelations that helped me to achieve a non-dual realization. This question of, you know, who is it that's where is a lot of these spiritual, you know, traditions talk about improving. Who is it that wants to improve? Who is it that's trying to do things? Who is it that's in control of this? And who put them in control? Who's trying to improve? And based on what are you improving? And this question, as you go back and back and back and back, you know, the part that's hard to articulate in words is that the person that thinks they have control is a story that happens after the event. And this is where people get hung up. I can tell when someone's living in an egoistic state. And by egoistic, I don't mean they're full of themselves like I act and sound. I'm talking about egoistic in the real sense of the word. The sense of I am. That person, they can practice magic and have great success. It's going to be great. But they're not talking about things from the metaphysical perspective that is truly transcendent of all these illusions. They're still playing Fantasyland. They're still in a Fantasyland game. Until you have had non-dual realization, which is, look, there's a lot of ways to have it. And some people wouldn't call it that. Some people would just call it ego death. And that's like a threshold to realization. You might have samadhi, and there's different layers of samadhi. You might have gnosis, the Gnostic state. Maybe you go into ecstasy in rituals. Maybe you're just so zen you fucking realize that you're the universe. All of these different versions of this idea, they're all over in different cultures. And they're all saying basically the same thing. I put this in the non-duality channel on the Discord just this afternoon. And it was all these different religions saying the same thing just in their own way. You know, what were some of them? Let me see if I can pop them up for a second. Where was it? And some of these are really great. Christianity says, I and my Father are one. Okay. Advaita says, Atman and Brahman are one. Buddhism says Nirvana and Samsara are one. The Sikhs say there is only God's face. All of these are a way of saying the same thing. All of them are the way of saying the same thing. If all is God, how can God be controlled by anything, right? So let's just be logical about this for a minute. Now, a lot of you guys haven't come to the non-dual realization. You haven't come to a pantheistic realization or a panentheistic one. You haven't come to a monist realization. Any one of those will tell you basically the same thing. A lot of you haven't come to that realization yet. You're still living in a world of identified ego. That's okay. No one's criticizing you. I'm not expecting you to believe. But once you've come to the realization of these non-dual or monist or pantheistic traditions, once you've come to that realization that's beyond the words that they're speaking, it is irrational now. It becomes completely irrational to believe that you have control over anything. Because there is nothing to control, nothing happens, everything is as it is. It is awareness that moves, not the world. You have no actual control. And you're going to say, well, Thorne, if everything is God and God's all powerful, doesn't that mean God's in control? Here's the problem. Control over what? If all is God, what does God have control over? You can't have control over yourself if that's all there is. In other words, there's nothing to control. There is just the will, the Tao. This is why so the Tao doesn't control anything. People will hear about the Tao and they're like, so the Tao controls everything? No. Oh, so you're saying everything is deterministic. It looks that way, but no, that's not what I'm saying. Determinism actually says that there's something in control. This moment controls the next moment. That's determinism. I'm saying there's no control. There is this moment, this moment, this moment, this moment. It's always the same moment. It just looks different. One moment does not cause the next moment. Well, you're going to say, well, Thorne, that's not what physics tells us. Physics tells us what we see, doesn't tell us what is. And by the way, ask Mac Tegmark. There's many different kinds of multiverse out there that they believe is very likely, including ones where they realize that time is an illusion based upon what the observer is doing. What is the observer doing? Observing. The act of observing. Observing, that's what the divine is. It's observing. The divine is awareness, not a noun, but a verb. The divine is a verb. It's a being. It's an awareness. It's an observer. It is, get it yet? It's starting to click. Everybody sees the same thing. We just have different delusional ways of trying to explain it to each other. And some of us who it's completely clicked for, and some of us have gone way even deeper off the end than I have, who've completely just whoop, they don't even try to explain it to people anymore. They're just like, it doesn't even fucking matter if you believe it or not. That's how it is. I'm content now. I've told you all I'm going to tell you about the I've already explained the Necronomicon to you. The Necronomicon is a system of theurgy. And theurgy is a way to essentially align the ego with the illusion of reality in such a way that the divine will becomes manifest. In other words, you recognize the divine will in all things and recognize that will as the self. Now, is that what their intention was when they made that book? I can only guess that that's why, because if you go through the system as written, you're going through the planetary steps of integration. It's a form of shadow work, or the other side of shadow work. It's like the clip-off. It's all of these are forms of emanationism. They're all different forms of the same principles. They're just different cultural metaphors for the same thing. You can go through the different cliff-offs and Sephiroth if you want. You can go through the planets and their shadow sides if you want. You can go through the chakras and their inverse if you want. You can do it any way you want. Notice the same repeating numbers over and over again, you know, or very similar groupings of numbers or ideas that keep happening over and over and over again. The Necronomicon is badass, but it's also a prank, for those of you who don't know. It's also a kind of prank. The people who get it know what it really is, and they use it as a system of theurgy for fun. The people who take it too seriously and start to believe in, oh, the Anunnaki are coming back, and they're going to take their gold, and all this other stuff. Enjoy your fantasy. By all means, enjoy that fantasy. I don't want to take it from you. But I'm telling you that it is a kind of fantasy. The thing that people miss is that symbols point to something real. But the thing that happens is we confuse the symbols for the reality. When people are talking about planetary theurgy, celestial theurgy, they get confused and think the gods are what is being symbolized. They think that the planets are what's being symbolized, or that the planets are symbolizing the gods, or one of these kinds of things. What they don't realize is that they're all symbolizing something you can never talk about. It's not just that it's forbidden in some goofy, superstitious way. It is literally impossible to speak of the ineffable source of all these symbols. We have words, and we have thoughts, and we have pictures, and we have symbols and sigils that point to that ineffable reality. But you cannot conceptually or intellectually know them. All you can see is the simulation of it. So, you can have your experience of all of these things. You can have, you know, like I'm seeing people comment, yes, they're real, the God, these are the, you're not even real. You are not even real, my friend. They're no more and no less real than you are. If you believe in their reality, that's fine. But you're also believing in an illusion just like you are. The issue, where we get hung up, where people get hung up, is in their need to believe in the fantasy. Why do you need to believe in the fantasy? You know why? Because it reifies your own ego. If you're someone who's experienced this ego death experience, if you've had, and that's a misnomer, by the way, you can't experience ego death, but that's another story. If you've gone through the ego death thing, if ego death has occurred, if you realize the ego is an illusion and you come back from that, the ego reforms, you realize that no one and nothing that you see is any different. I'm sure you've heard whatever you think you've heard. That doesn't mean that's real. You're confusing a perception for a reality. Let's put it like this. You're hearing me talk right now, right? No, you're not. You're not hearing me talk right now. Do you know what you're hearing? You're hearing something your speaker is doing. You've never heard my voice. None of you listening to this have ever heard my voice. None of you have ever heard my voice. You've heard a speaker. You have no idea what I actually sound like. Well, I can go a little bit further than that. Even my wife has never heard me. What she has heard is her own ears. That is what she has heard. She's never heard me. The sounds that she thinks of as me are symbols that point to something that she thinks of as me. The me that she thinks of is an archetypal thing. I exist in her imaginary world as Dan, D.H. Thorne, her husband. I'm a symbol for something in the divine. But I, D.H. Thorne, don't exist. I'm just a symbol. So you can have whatever experience you want. You can have chupacabras nibbling on your baby toes. But that doesn't mean they're real. And you'll say, well, Thorne, I know it happened because I experienced it. And then I'm going to say, this lighter ain't real either. That fire ain't real either. I'm not real. You're not real. You think all of these things are real, but they're not. To be made to flop like a fish. You told me this story last time. The things I've seen and done would blow your flopping fish story. Oh, I don't mean this like nastily. I'm saying this with love and humor in my heart. The things I've seen and done would scare the living shit right out of you. And I still know that they're not real. So you're getting attached to, it has to be real because it makes you feel more real. I'm telling you it's not. The thing that makes that important is that until you transcend that delusion of reality being what you see and experience and think it is, you're going to be trapped in a delusion like the Matrix, okay? You think, like, I'm sure you've seen the movie The Matrix. How much you want to bet Neo would say to, Morpheus, well, I saw them, so they're real, but they're not. Like, I saw the agents. The agents are real. The agents are not real. They're programs. So you're saying, I've had this experience. I'm not even doubting you've had the experience. I'm telling you they're not real. I'm telling you that this is all delusion. And the sooner you figure that out, the happier and more well off you're going to be. And you're going to say, well, that's no fun because then this doesn't go away. None of this stops. Just being able to see through the illusion doesn't mean that the illusion stops. Doesn't mean that the game stops.
I was going to say it's like playing a video game.
Or it's like a lucid dream.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure, Higgy, I want you to know I'm not insulting you. I hope I'm not. I know you might feel insulted because I keep saying it's not real and you're trying to insist that it is. There's a disconnect of understanding here, not a disrespect of understanding. This is like, how do I put this? This is like we're watching a movie and you think the movie is real. Like you're a little kid and you're watching like, a scary movie and you think that scary movie is real. And I'm saying, no, kid, it's not real. No, it's real. I see it. I'm saying, I know you see it, but that's not really happening right now. Yeah, but I just saw his head get blown off, but it didn't. That was just something you saw on a screen. So I'm not denying that you've had an experience. I'm telling you, don't take it this seriously. It's going to make you sick. Maybe you're already sick and it's too late. That's fine. That's your game. I'm just warning you. This is what happens. People fall into, it's an ego trap. There's two kinds of things that happens to a magician. There are blinds and ego traps. They're the two worst things you can go through. Blinds and ego traps. What's a blind? A blind, well, there's two meanings for the word blind in magic. Blind, number one, it's like code, like, let's say you write a grimoire and you're afraid your Christian uncle's going to see it and get you beat up by your Christian father or something like that. You're worried about getting caught. So you have to put everything into code words. So instead of saying, what you really mean, you're going to say Eye of Newt and some other shit. This way you don't get in trouble as much. Or this way you throw off other people. Or maybe Eye of Newt is like, I'll give you an example that's a realistic example for everybody. Sweetie, what were some of the words you'd use for drugs so that your parents wouldn't catch on?
Oh, shit. I don't know, like oregano.
Okay, yeah. Like, did you bring the oregano for the brownies?
Did you bring the oregano for the soup?
But yeah, did you bring the oregano for the soup?
We have to put it in the bowl.
Yeah, we have to put, there we go. See that example? That's blind type 1. It's code. So blind type 2 is a blind where it's actually meant to be something that catches the superstitious morons and keeps them down so that they can't, it's sort of like separates the wheat from the chaff. Very good, Eddie. Yeah, good example. Eating children, like exactly, yeah, with the semen. Eddie says, when Crowley was talking about eating children, he was really talking about semen. Yeah, it's a good example. And then now level 2 of this, or a different version of the blind, is when it's meant to trip up the superstitious, the theistic, the people who are lower in awareness. This way you can identify them. This way you can recognize when someone is unfit for the pearls that you keep hidden in the end of the journey. And if you read the Kabbalion, or if you read the Bible, or any of these things, they talk about casting your pearls before swine being a bad idea. Well, I do it a lot. I cast pearls before a lot of swine, and I seem to catch a lot of good people. Every once in a while, those swine will come along and gobble those pearls up, not realize what they're getting, shit them back out, walk away unsatisfied because they don't get nutrition out of them. What's up, Nina? Just saw you come in. Nina's here, the blue wrench.
Nice.
Good. People should subscribe to Nina. She's got a good channel. So blind, the second version of a blind is a way to trip up people who are going to get caught on lower vibrational ideas. It will say something like, and YouTube, this is just a hypothetical, don't take me, sacrifice children to this god. Well, if we're using Eddie's example a moment ago, he said children means semen. Well, maybe it just means you beat off on the sigil of the god or something. I'm not saying that that's what it means. I'm just saying that could be what it is. Mm-hmm. So someone will take it literally and they'll fuck themselves. They get caught, they get tripped up, and they expose themselves as unworthy of the wisdom. And there's a lot of different layers to this that happen over and over and over again. The entirety of the Christian religion is one big giant blind designed to keep the ignorant masses in line, while the people who start to figure it out enter the seminary, they get fed some shit, then the cream of the crop goes further and further, and when you end up in the Vatican or whatever, then they open up, you know, the more hidden stuff. Eventually you get to the deep dungeon of knowledge that they have, and they go, by the way, this is all bullshit. This is where the aliens came down and fucked Mary. Or, I don't know, I'm just being funny, but the real truth comes out, and that truth is not the silly bullshit that they teach in the church. That is a way to fuck people up so that they don't get there. It's meant to keep you in spiritual bondage forever. And people are going to say, well, Thorne, if that's true, what's the right religion? None of them, because pretty much all of them have a version of this. You go to India, they're way more likely to tell you that you're God. So they got that part right out in front. The problem is they're going to say you're God, but now you got to do all this meditation shit to get there. Well, what the fuck is that? How the hell, if you're already God, what is meditating going to do? That's bullshit. And that's why Alan Watts was clever and fun when he said that all of these things like the Buddhists do, like in a way, Buddhism is just a big troll. It's just a big trolling session, because the entire Zen religion is an exercise in futility on purpose to get you to give up and realize you already know the truth. The goal of Zen is to stop doing it. That's the goal. That's why it's such a clever religion, because the whole thing is there to and the guys who still do it for fun. Like, some people figure it out and they're like, yeah, but you know what? Meditation's kind of cool. I'm going to keep doing it. That's more like a me. Like, I realize I don't need to do any of that shit anymore, but I do it because it's comforting and it's fun. Yeah, Kundalini Yoga, you bring that up, and there are people who take that to this superstitious place where they literally believe that this flaming serpent energy is going to come out of their throat and they're going to freaking destroy the universe someday. You know, they have these weird ass things. It never happens. It's always a few steps away. Maybe in another lifetime I'll get it. I know, I've seen that one YouTube video. There's a YouTube video somewhere of this guy, I forget if it was in the Philippines or what, and he's like lighting fires with his hands and shit. You know, I'm not saying impossible. I'm not saying didn't happen. I'm saying I don't believe it. I'm saying show me the money. I want to see it. And that's still coming from someone who's seen some shit that would freaking scare the white off rice. Like, I've seen stuff that I cannot explain from logical stuff. So you'd think that means I am inclined to believe that this guy could light fires with his dick. No. Just because I've seen stuff that is equal or weirder than that, or somewhere in that spectrum, does not mean that that's what it means. Like, that's the mistake. Miracles are this misconception you cause shit to happen, when miracles are really just better understood as synchronicities. The most amazing miracles aren't things that are caused by anything. They just happen in a way that you go, whoa. A really good example would be, like, in the Bible, you know, there's stories about how, like, the sun and the moon stopped in the sky during a battle and it stayed there, blah, blah, blah. You know, what if that was just a mythology talking about an eclipse? An eclipse that happened during a battle, scared the shit out of everybody. Everybody thought it was God. Did God make the eclipse happen at that time, or was it always going to happen at that time? And it became a miracle. Mm-hmm. Miracles are, here's the thing, miracles are things that when they really happen, you can't be sure what happened. You just know that there was a weird ass coincidence. And by weird ass, sometimes I mean so weird that you fall down on your knees and start crying weird. And I've seen those. Alexander C. says, a lot of traps in Eastern mysticism. You damn right there are. So there's blinds of the you know, cipher sort. There's blinds of the ego sort. You know, those are ego pitfalls, ego traps, ego blinds. They're all necessary though, and they're all a way of learning. If you succumb to those blinds as a child, it doesn't mean you're unsuitable for magic. Like, if you're sitting there going, well, I'd like to do this spell, but I can't get an Eye of Newt. So what do I do? And this is partially what's in the Necronomicon. Necronomicon requires some things that they don't tell you. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but there's some parts in there that are hard to do. One of them is getting the alignments of the planets just right. You really have to know your astrology pretty good. You have to know your stuff pretty good. And, you know, there's whole websites dedicated to helping you with that shit.
Real quick, I just want to say, Eddie, you read my mind with the magnets.
How do they work? Miracles. So, there's definitely parts of the Necronomicon that are hard to do. They'll say, you know, what is that thing? You cannot know a woman except you may worship at the temple of Isis. What the fuck does that mean? Worshipping in the temple of Isis. Well, Isis was the goddess of, you know, sex and also prostitution. So they're saying you can have sex with a prostitute, but you can't fuck your wife? Otherwise, you're unclean for the ritual for 30 days. So you can go, or do they mean you can masturbate? Is that the five sisters, Rosie Palm and her five? Is that is that the Isis they're talking about? And this is where the insanity sauce kicks in. This is where people go stupid, because they'll try to figure this shit out and not get the references and that's why it's codified this way. And that's why there's a practical joke involved somewhere. And the real funny part about the practical joke from the outside looking in is you'll get people coming up to you who go through the rituals and go, yeah, I literally saw, you know, fucking Enki came down in his golden chariot and some shit, and he had some aliens, and he had like a dragon head and shit, and we flew up into space, and we got to have sex with space aliens, and like, and they'll tell it to you with a straight ass face, like it really happened yesterday, and you just like, whatever you just smoked, I want like a whole pound of that shit. Then I get the other side of this where I've got to sound like I contradict myself for a minute, because I'm making it sound like magic is all psychology, and it's not. It's just that psychology, you know, it's not just self-help psychology. That's not what magic purely is. Magic in its truest essence is erasing the boundary line between your ego and the divine. That is really what magic is for. Whether it's high magic, theurgy, and ceremonial magic, or low magic spells and bullshit. Both sides, both types of magic, all types of magic, even religion and prayer and all that shit, they are all designed to erase the line between the ego and the divine. I'm going to repeat those things that I just read to you a moment ago from all the world religions. It says, separation is an illusion. I and my Father are one. That is a spell that deletes the line between Jesus and God. You're not meant to say that as Jesus and the Father are one, like Christianity says. You're supposed to realize you're like Jesus. Remember, Christianity says you should be like Jesus? That's a hint, guys. For those who are really stupid, they think that you're supposed to emulate his actions. What you're really supposed to do is realize that you and the Father are one. You are God. You're supposed to erase that line between the egoistic self that is finite and the infinite self, which is the divine. The Brahman and Atman are one. Again, the line, gone. Nirvana and samsara are one. The line between here and now and the infinite heavens and hells, all of them, all the way around, are non-existent. There's no line between them. There is only God's face, meaning you are part of God's face. You. There's no divide between you and God. This line has to be erased. That's what magic does. It is not a way to get bullshit to happen. That's the first blind that they use to get the children, to get the stupid ones. I mean that in a fun, I don't mean stupid like, oh, I just mean to trip up people. Okay, that's what it's for. And it tripped me up for a number of years of my life. I spent a number of my years going, if I draw it this way, if I write it this way, I'll make stuff happen. And sometimes it seemed to work. And I mean, not just work. I mean, like, holy shit, did that work? And then other times I do it the same way and it didn't work. Be like, well, how can you say that my technique was off? I didn't change anything. I did it exactly the same. It should have worked. Oh, well, maybe it's the alignment of the stars. And then you start going crazy. And that's the point. You're meant to keep chasing these waterfalls, so to speak. You're meant to keep chasing these impossible things, these wild goose chases. Oh, you've got to get candles made of real beeswax. Well, how do you know it's real beeswax? Unless you have your own bees. All right, so you finally get some real beeswax. All right, my candle's made of real beeswax. Okay, was it made by a virgin though? Fuck. All right, that's right. You know, and you got to go through all these stupid steps. Then you get like, I did the ritual right, but it still didn't work. Oh, did you get your planetary alignments right? Oh, fuck. No, I don't know if I did. Well, I thought I did, but maybe. Well, okay, you got your planetary alignments right. Did you check the numerology of the day and the year? What do you mean? Well, did you add it all up? And what? No, was it a bad number? Was it a bad? And you'll go to all these stupid levels of trying to perfect your fucking ritual. And you just end up looking like a jackass. You look like a fool that's been told, like a little kid that like wants something. So you tell them to go do this and that and do this. And you send them on a wild goose chase till they finally give up. And then you give them some ice cream because they finally wore themselves out and they gave up. It's sort of like that. And you go on this wild goose chase trying to get all of these things aligned perfectly with what you think is supposed to make the magic work. But then the ultimate realization is the thing that was getting perfected wasn't the ritual. The timing wasn't getting perfected. The ego was getting refined through this process. You were learning to see the correspondences. You were learning to see so that your intuitive nature would start to take over. The highest form of magic is no magic. You literally just, in a prescient way, realize what's going to be, and you just go through it. Remember what I told you before at the beginning of this conversation? I said there was a time my wife and I were sitting there watching a video with E.A. Quetting, and I said, wouldn't it be some shit if... That was as much of a command as it was a prediction. There was no difference between the two. That was a moment of absolute prescience. That was not just a coincidence. That was synchronicity. Synchronicity is a form of higher prescience. And when synchronicity lands, when the synchronicity happens, the real synchronicity, when the two ends connect like a wormhole, your consciousness travels between those 2 points and you go, holy shit, that just happened. That moment is when the ego surrenders and the divine and the ego become one. And when I say the ego surrenders, I don't mean like you're bigger than me. I mean, it stops trying to change things. The ego says, I am everything. The ego conforms. The ego is yoked. That's what yoga means, by the way. Yoga means union into yoke. That's what the word yoga, it means yoke. Okay. So it's a yoking of the ego to the divine. Not in a right-hand path sense of I'm inferior to God, but in the sense that the ego and God are one, the Atman and the Brahman are one, but ego in its bad habits will act in a way, not just act, I shouldn't say act, it will speak, it will put itself into competition or conflict with the divine. So I'm just hoping that what I just said makes sense to some of you guys. I know a lot of people hear this stuff and they think Thorne's just like ranting and raving about something. He's just responding to something. These are the essences of what real magic is. People will say, well, magic is the A-causal influence over something, right? Well, that's the funny thing about saying magic is an A-causal way to make change. That is a hilarious contradiction. And it's meant to trip you up. If it's A-causal, you're not changing it. Get it? It's an A-causal way to cause change. A-causal way that leads to change. A-causal is a big word. A-causal means there is no link like dominoes. If I flick a domino, there's a causal chain that leads to an outcome. Magic is an A-causal relationship between what the ego says and what happens.
Real quick, I just want to say, Nina, I saw your comment about the purple snake mirror frame. That sounds like it's going to be a hot item, so I might have to invest in another snake to get more skin.
Well, we just got to get my snake to start eating again. He's been on a freaking hunger strike for like 2 or 3 months again. I don't know. He gets really picky. Like if his cage isn't just right, he gets picky and won't eat. So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's like a pet rock that won't even eat. So. Okay, who asked it? Wyatt asked, would you say that non-dualism is just a sort of advanced monism? No. No, not at all. I would say that monism is a non-dualism. Non-dualism is a brand of monism. Non-dualism is not a philosophy that you learn and then you become a non-dualist. Non-dualism is a perspective on reality that is explained through non-dual philosophy. So what I'm trying to say it's different is that monism is a form of metaphysical philosophy, but it is not an experience. Non-duality is something that happens. Non-duality is a perspective that you have. It's not the same thing. It sounds the same, but it's not. Monism would be like a scientific explanation of a sunset. Non-duality would be experiencing that sunset. That's the difference between the two. Someone who is a non-dualist has had a non-dual revelation. It is not the same thing as, oh, I thought about it till it made sense, because that's not non-dual at that point. That is, so there are sort of like different stages to having a non-dual realization, and they don't have to go in sequence. But the easiest way for it to happen is to negate all of the arguments that the ego has to legitimize itself. So that means you've got to go through all of the ways you think you are real and recognize that they are illusory in some way. You have to realize, like, well, I know I'm D.H. Thorne because I'm here right now. Well, wait a minute. What does here and now even mean? There is no real... When I say here and now, I'm talking about an ever-moving goalpost. I'm always here and now, whether it's a moment ago or a moment from now. I'm always here and now. It's always, no matter where I go or when it is, it's always here and now. So here and now is not a thing. Here and now is just a declaration. Who's making that declaration? You could just keep going through these questions and negate and negate and negate. Cross it off. Every time you think that you've asserted something about yourself that's true, test that fucker till it goes away. You can make them all go away. That's what Descartes figured out. This is why Descartes has the, you know, you have solipsism. And Descartes says, I think, therefore I am. When he says, I think, therefore I am, some people think he means the thoughts and feelings, and some people think he meant consciousness, which is just like the awareness of thoughts and feelings, like the consciousness behind it that's experiencing that. So I don't know for sure what he meant because I wasn't there in the room, but either way, he's pointing to something important. I think, therefore I am. That means that you have to get behind the qualia of experience. The qualia of experience are the thing that's on the screen. Like when you watch a movie projector, so when you watch TV, there has to be a screen there for the movie to play on. But the movie's never real. The screen is what's real, not the movie itself. So you've got to disobjectify all of the things on the screen. If I show you a video of a little boy bouncing a ball, there is not a little boy bouncing a ball on that screen. It's a bunch of pixels flickering and your brain is forming an image of a little boy bouncing a ball. That ball is not being bounced. It is not even traveling. There is no ball there. It can't travel. It's just a pattern of flickering lights that your brain pieces together and makes it look like a bouncing ball. Your entire every moment of reality is exactly like that. So you've got to disobjectify. That's an intellectual exercise. That's contemplative. Okay, you've got to think about it. The reason you've got to do that is so that you can, once you have destroyed all of the rationalizations for your belief in yourself. Once you've done that, it's a lot easier to recognize the true self when you do the transcendental meditative practices or the chemicals or whatever it is that you're going to use to breach that threshold and have the non-dual experience, the ego death experience. Okay. So you've got to realize that you can unplug the computer. Then you've got to unplug the computer. And then once the computer's unplugged, you've got to realize you're still there. Once you realize you're still there, you've got to not think about, but you've got to recognize what it is that is there. And that final layer is a hard doozy one to crack because your first impulse is, I'm the universe. And you just had an in the mind idea. That's not it. Not it. So the non-dual is not a philosophy. Monism is. The non-dual philosophy or teaching or whatever is something that follows after. It's a way to tell others that you have had, when I say you, I mean in the language requires that I put a subject and an object. It's a way to help you communicate to other people that this exists. That's the philosophy of non-duality. Now, I am constantly espousing the non-dual philosophy. The non-dual philosophy is a form of monism. This is why I often compare what I talk about to all these different religions that have a monist or pantheistic perspective, because they're all seeing the same thing and describing it a different way. Let me read through some comments. I see people talking about, I feel it, so it's real. Let's do a little experiment, everybody. Close your eyes. Everybody close your eyes? I'm just going to wait a second. Everybody close your eyes. You too, Camilla. Close your eyes. Okay. Stop doing what you're doing.
I'll drop everything.
Okay. Put your right hand out and leave it open and relaxed. Nothing touching, okay? So everyone sit there. Your right hand is out. It's open and relaxed. You are aware of your hand, are you not? You are aware, even though that nothing is, you have a sensation, and that sensation isn't so much physical as it is just an awareness that there is a hand there, yes or no? Everyone is going to say yes if you're being honest. Everyone can feel, unless you don't have a hand, and even if you don't, some people still feel it. When I say feel it, I don't mean it's a physical sensation. There is an awareness of a hand there, yes? Mm-hmm. Okay. That is the reality of your hand. That awareness that you have a hand, that is the non-dual reality of your hand. Now, take your thumb and forefinger and rub it together. You feel that? That is not your finger. That is something that only happens when one part of your hand touches another part. You're not actually feeling your fingers. When you do this, you're not feeling, I know linguistically, I know you've been taught that's how you feel your fingers, but you're not feeling your fingers. That sensation is a symbol of your fingers. It is not actually your fingers touching. I know what you've been taught, but that sensation, that is Maya. That Maya is an illusion. It's a mirage. All mirages point to something that is really happening, but they're illusory. They're not really what you think they are. So when you're walking through a desert and you see a mirage, and if you're thirsty enough, you're going to see that mirage and go, water, I'm saved. And you're going to go wandering off towards that and you're going to die. And someone's going to say, it's just a mirage. There was no water there. Correct. But the mirage did indicate a disturbance in the air that caused something that looked like water. So what you see is not the genuine thing. The things you're experiencing are not it. When you're having a I feel like it's real moment, what you're telling me is that you're so invested in the illusion of your material reality, you don't know how to look behind the illusion and see what's there. And Nesh says, so love is an illusion, depends on which love you're talking about. If you're talking about love, yes, it is. It absolutely is. If you're talking about even the love that I have with my wife, whoop, that's also an illusion. Bye. But there is a form of love which is not illusory. Let's return to the hand example. Close your eyes, hold your hand out. Do you love that hand? Yes, you do. Would you cut it off? Probably not by choice, right? You love your hand. Take that. Eddie, could you isolate that and turn it into a fucking meme of me? You love your hand, motherfucker.
Please.
You love your hand. Love, actual love, divine love, transcends the love and the honey, I love you love, the possessive love. That's not love. That's a feeling, and feelings aren't reality. Feelings are an interface.
I don't love you. I love the way you can make me feel.
Exactly. Why do you think I said that to you?
The sweetest fucking thing I ever heard in my life.
Alexander C is gonna go love his hand.
Menage a moi.
Menage a moi. Yeah, I love that when you made that up. That was so good. Oh man, you were really creative for a couple days there. You'll get it back.
It struck me. It was a hot iron. Okay.
Well, you are a hot iron.
Oh.
Astara brings up compassion. Yes, that's love. That's genuine love is compassion. Actual love says leave them the fuck alone. Not I gotta save everybody. That's the possessive love that says I need to save you. That's possessive love. When you say I'm going to let you stumble and fall on your own until you ask me for help, and then because I have sympathy I'm going to do something, that's actual love.
It's like tough love with a child.
Yes. You got to let a child fuck up a little bit. Compassion is not... When people say compassion is selfless, that's a terrible thing to say. The reason it's a terrible thing to say is that compassion requires recognizing the self in all things. It is not selfless, because to try to be selfless is absolutely the most egoistic thing you can possibly do. I don't exist. Well, that's fair. You, as an ego, don't exist. Yes, so that means I must do nothing for myself. I must deprive myself, and I must do everything for you. Camilla, I am so selfless, I must give you everything. You must have all of my things.
All of the things.
All of my things. Well, who's giving it away? Me, of course. Look at how selfless I am. I am the most humble being that has ever existed. I, too, am incredibly humble. Yes. Pride is also love. Pride. A lot of shit is said about pride, and you know, along the way I've sort of gotten like weird feelings about some of these words, and some of them are words and they have connotations, like the word heretic, right? Once upon a time, the word heretic was just a way of saying something different. So when you said, you know, the original word was heresis, and it became heresies and heresis, and it literally just meant someone of a different mindset. So, for example, in our modern scientific theory, you have the many worlds interpretation of quantum physics. You have the Copenhagen interpretation. These are heresies, okay? They're all hyresis. They're all different versions of the same idea, like trying to explain the same thing. When something becomes heresy, in the way we use the term, it's a negative idea, like they believe in something that's not true. So if you're someone who ascribes to the Copenhagen interpretation, the many worlds theory is a heresy. Okay? So the same thing happens with words like love and pride, and over time words get weird meanings. Well, what is pride? Pride, if it is a sin at all, requires an ego that thinks it's better than everybody. Pride is only something the ego can do. Okay? So so Lucifer is often described as the angel of pride. Okay? So Lucifer is a double-edged sword. If you entreat with Lucifer, you can become enlightened and realize you are the divine, and that everything is divine, and that nothing is better than anything, nothing is worse than anything. All is the divine. If all is divine, nothing is forbidden. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You go off into the abyss, and you come back and you realize you are the abyss. Woo! You get it. You finish the game, and you keep playing the game on New Game Plus. That's basically what happens. The double-edged sword of that is you don't actually go through the abyss. You instead take the abyss story as a bit of makeup or something to decorate your ego with, and say, I am God. I am God. That's pride. I am God. I am better than everyone because I am the divine and I know it. That's pride. Something that a Luciferian can get snapped up in. Absolutely. Is it bad? Well, remember what I said a minute ago. If all is divine, nothing is forbidden. There's nothing wrong with being prideful. In fact, if you're worried about being proud, if you say, well, I don't want to be prideful, I better stop that. That's a form of pride, because you don't want to humiliate yourself. You want to be wonderful. You want to be the best you can be. That's pride. Stop it. Right? What are you going to do? Say, stop it? This is why when people say, Thorne, you're too arrogant, you're too egotistical, I go, how egotistical of you to notice? Thank you. It takes a huge amount of ego to point out the ego in someone else, as if no one has ego. Like, oh, you've got more ego than I do.
It's like looking in the mirror.
Ego isn't a quantity. It is just simply an on and off. You are either in an egoistic state in that moment or you are not. Yes, humility is linked to humiliation. Exactly. Actual humility is not humble. Actual humility is unaware of humility, therefore it's actually humble. That actually means that you can act greedy as fuck and still be more humble than everybody. Ooh, I like the purple on that, the way it's looking in that picture.
It doesn't really show up as much on here for some reason.
I don't know. I'm seeing it looks more blue in there than it does in here.
Yeah. You know, my camera, I think, is muted, so... Muted on color.
Another way to look at it, Astara, is it says, pride is so important to self-growth. A certain amount of self-love and pride is required to be truly honest with yourself. You have to love yourself so much that you're sitting there, get shit on your hand and go, that's my shit and I don't mind. Otherwise, you're not going to wipe your ass, okay? I know that's like a horrible way to put it. Let me try to do that again. It requires an extraordinary amount of pride to be honest with yourself. You have to be able to love yourself no matter what you do. If you can't love yourself, even in the worst moments of your life, you're not there yet. And people, and you get the right-hand traditions will say, oh, that's too proud. You need to be less proud. You need to actually be ashamed of that bad thing that you did. No, I refuse to be ashamed. If I'm ashamed, that means that I'm in a horribly egoistic state. This is why when you go to these cultures which truly understand the non-dual or these monist principles, you'll notice that they have very few taboos about like nudity or taking a shit in the street or something. They're literally like, nature is nature. It's all beautiful. You'll notice a nature is nature kind of attitude. To take a pee is not that gross. It may not be sanitary, true, but it's not a thing to be ashamed of. Shame is diminished in such cultures in the way that we normally think of it, at least as a Westerner. And that is a way, Eddie. And the thing is, you will get to a certain point and give up. So Eddie says, I have fully embraced the path of expanding the ego until it encompasses the universe. Eventually, you're going to have to give up because the universe is infinite. So eventually, you're just going to have to give up. And when you give up, that's when you'll be free. And at that point, your ego is the size of the universe, ironically enough. Yeah, in a way, you're right, Eddie. The end result is the same as extinguishing the ego. That's the thing about all or nothing. They're kind of the same thing. You know, from a certain point of view, they're kind of the same thing. They're both an infinity. They're both a side of infinity. Zero is infinite nothingness. Infinity is infinite somethingness. What is the difference, really? Gage the Mage says, my God has a bigger dick than your God, George Carlin. Yes. Yes, Wyatt, that's a pretty decent observation. And it's not just non-dualism. Zen also says, so he says, non-dualism tends to reveal a sort of irony in nature and human interaction, which makes it more of a game than a spirituality. Again, Alan Watts. If you're not studying Alan Watts, you should be, because Alan Watts, I think Alan Watts would have a lot of things to say about me that would probably sound like a certain way, and I'd be like, oh, Alan Watts doesn't like me. But I think Alan Watts would get what I'm saying. And I think if you listen to Alan Watts and me, you'll see where a lot of my way of describing things comes from, because Alan Watts, he didn't teach me what to think. He taught me how to explain what I already knew. Right? That was Alan Watts' teaching for me. Not what to think, but how to talk about what I already had sort of figured out. And then from there, I was able to piece it together in a better way. Right? Once I had the language, then I could manipulate that language, and that pointed to deeper truths. Right? The language wasn't the truth, but the language, the way I put it together, turned into new truth. And that new truth is something even better. And if you're not listening to Alan Watts, you should be. One of the things Alan Watts said is that it's all just a game, guys. It's a show, it's a play, it's a game. Play it. Life is not meant to be beaten, it's meant to be played. Yes, you play it to beat it, but it's not meant to be beaten. It's like I asked you guys on the last stream, what is the purpose of playing a hide and go seek? And someone's going to say, well, the purpose if you're the one hiding is to hide, not get caught. And the purpose of the one trying to seek is to seek and catch everybody. No, that is not the purpose of hide and go seek. Those are the rules of the game.
But your
and it
purpose
declares
is
a
to
winner.
have fun.
Yes, the purpose is to have fun. It is a game. Justonium Arcanum says, guilt and shame are all part of your shadow, which ultimately is a part of your being. Correct. That means you need to embrace those things and love those things, not try to get rid of them, but try to, like, so for example, if you say, well, I don't want to feel guilt anymore, I need to eradicate guilt in my life. You just made a deeper guilt shadow, because now you're ashamed of your guilt. So your shame shadow just got bigger. And then you're going to feel bad. Oh, I just made my shame shadow bigger. That's terrible. My guilt shadow just got bigger. And this causes you, so that the idea of the shadow is that people think that shadows make us do things because there's not really a better way to say it. But the reality is it doesn't make us do things. It is the hidden side of what we do. Because you remember, you have to get rid of that cause and effect mentality at some point in your spiritual realization. You've got to, at least internally, get rid of the cause and effect mentality. Even if you can't stop saying it, you've got to get rid of it to really get the next stage. Even if just for a few minutes. You don't necessarily have to live that way, but you've got to be able to reach a point where causality goes away. It is as it is, to be as it is always was, as it always will be, it is as it is. It just is. It is. Is the only word you need. Is. It is. What is it? Is. That's what it is. I know I sound crazy, but that's kind of like how it works. The shadow is just another part of is. It's just the part of is you don't see. So if a mosquito bites me and I slap it, did the mosquito cause me to slap it by biting me? Where did the cause and effect enter into it? If maybe a better version of that would be a hot potato. If I pick up a hot potato and drop it, before I feel the pain, that's like the shadow. You don't necessarily know it's happening, but it's part of your process. So I think that's the best one. A hot potato is a good analogy for a shadow. You pick up a hot potato, you don't know it's hot, but it doesn't even reach your brain, and your spinal column's like, drop that shit, you're getting burned, and it drops it. That dropping was a shadow, in analogies speaking. Shadows are things that come before, during, and after an experience that are the hidden side of your processes. I know, I got quiet. I saw you look up.
Oh,
Like, what happened?
I was hoping I didn't freeze again.
No, I was reading comments. Eddie and Jasonium says, I look at magic and spirituality like an RPG, quest, tasks, and constantly leveling up. I mean, yes and no. I mean, yes, I get it, because that's what the ego wants to do, is level up. So you might as well give it a job to do. That's the meaning of Tantra and yoga and all those things. You're giving your ego something to do, so it gets to feel like it's leveling up, until eventually it goes, well, now what? I got level 99. There's no more levels. What do I do now? My magic points are maxed out. What now? Oh, well, I guess I'll stop playing the game. In that moment, you've just let go of something. That's a form of enlightenment. But the ultimate goal is to have no goal. It's to just be. And Eddie says, Justonius Arcanum, I literally whistle the Final Fantasy fanfare when something matters. I like that. Sure. I like when you, like, fuck around with video games and they'll use hidden occult or spiritual terms. Like Final Fantasy likes to use if I remember correctly, the aren't they the Sanskrit terms for the elements? Like, Fira, Firaga. These are, I think, I have to look it up again.
I'm pretty sure.
Right? I think those are the Indian terms for it.
Lazaga.
Yeah.
Lazara.
I don't know, something like that. I thought it was. Igni. No, Igni. It was, yeah, Igni, not Fira. It was Igni. Igni, something. I don't remember what it was, but one of these games had the words. Maybe it wasn't Final Fantasy. I don't remember.
Might not have been Final Fantasy.
It might have been. Alexander says, then boredom ensues. Enlightened boredom. Boredom is one of the greatest things in the world, because that means excitement's coming. Wyatt Coverdale says, old school World of Warcraft, anyone? Not gonna lie, old school World of Warcraft was, for its time, a better experience than World of Warcraft ever was after. But I will say this. The Battle for Azeroth expansion was my favorite one, because I really fucking loved the Alliance Island, especially the second zone. What is it called? Drusvar. Drusvar? Yeah, Drusvar, whatever it was. It's such a, Eastern Germanic, mood with, witches and crows and shit everywhere. It's like the most... it is the most goth zone in the game, and I say that knowing all about the werewolf zone and all these. It is the most Season of the Witch type of shit. It's like my favorite zone, and if I play World of Warcraft, I will leap over everything else just to play that zone as quickly as I can to get through, because it's my favorite part of the game. Then I don't care anymore. I totally okay, I'm done now. Alexander says, yeah, and Shiva is a summon. Yeah, exactly. And Bahamut but Final Fantasy does that. They draw from multiple things. Like, you got stuff from other religions too, so, because you got Naga and all these other things. So
yeah.
I just bought the Final Fantasy VII remake. I haven't installed it yet. I have 20 games now that I haven't played now. I gotta stop this, but they keep coming out with games I want. And then I'm like, I'll play that, but I got to finish my book first. And then I spend hours writing the book, and then I delete it and start over.
I don't know what you mean. I don't even know how many games I have that I haven't played yet.
Shut up, you. You got twice as many games as I have, and then Steroid has twice or 3 times as many as you.
You tell them not dirty secrets.
All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I have spoken my voice out again. I'm going to let Camilla, she's doing some cool resin pouring stuff. I'm going to let her host the conversation for about
Oh,
4 or 5 minutes.
why you do that to me?
Yeah.
You know, last week I said this to you afterwards. I said, you know what this reminds me of? This is like that moment in Wayne's World when Wayne gets fired and Garth is sitting there saying, I'm having fun. Not. All nervous by himself.
Well, that's what's about to happen.
Oh, you.
I'm putting you in charge, and I want you to have a conversation. So everybody prepare a question for Camilla. It could be about anything. If she doesn't know, she's going to bullshit her way through it until I get back. But she'll probably do better if you ask her about like what she's making. So ask her about what she's doing, and we'll see if she can terrorize away from her dabbing. She's doing the dab right now.
I'm doing the dabbing.
She's doing the dab.
I'm
So
almost
I'll be right
done.
back. I need to refresh my juice. Be right back.
You. Let's see. Ask me anything. It's too quiet out here without your voice. Do 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 do. Boo ba doo boo boo. Yes, I love that. Thorne, you gauge the mage. Thorne, you're like a wound up music box that can only play for so long before it has to be wound up again. Okay, Astara, Camilla, when did you start making those? Did you come up with it on your own? You're quite talented. Thank you. I started making these, must have been about 2 years ago, like, to actually sell. The idea was actually through DH's book, Mind the Shadow, Become the Maelstrom, and I kind of just took the design and ran with it. And after I made my own personal one, I decorated his, and then it kind of snowballed from there into an online store on Etsy, and I just keep coming up with more and more ways of decorating these things in different patterns and stuff, and it's I enjoy it. Let's see. Camilla, your opinion on Wyatt Coverdale's channel, of which everyone here should be subscribed to. I honestly, there's not too many channels I watch on YouTube right now. Sorry. But subscribe. He's a young kid and he's talented. Let's say. Come back. DH, come back. Yes, Nina. I love that. Hey, some people pay big bucks for the glove and dab experience. Lol. You know, if I were to start an OnlyFans, it would be all about the glove and dab.
Oh my lord, the things that I'm hearing.
Yes.
Because I had you on my big microphone speaker things when I was up.
Good.
I just turned off my microphone. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
The dab, huh?
Yes, the glove and dab. We're that's gonna be our OnlyFans. It's gonna.
That's what we're gonna call it, glove and dab.
Yeah, it's gonna be called Glove and Dab on Thorne.
Forget Thorne Hub.
And it's gonna consist of gloves and dabbing resin and who knows what else, but you know, fun times all around. ASMR experience. Premium.
Gage says, Wyatt, when's Coke gonna sponsor you? Oh, Wyatt. He's gonna be something someday. He's something already now.
Something already.
He's something already.
It's something already.
He's going to be quite the pisser when he gets older. Watch out, ladies. Watch out.
Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, Jasonius Arcanum. Camilla, do you empower your mirrors through an empowering ritual, so to speak, or do you leave that to those who buy them? That, I've said it in other streams. I implore anyone who buys my mirrors, cleanse them, smudge them, remove any shit off of them. I put a lot of energy into these things as I am producing them. I do not empower them intentionally.
She might be in a really fucked up mood.
No. I want you to do it yourself.
Yes, Wyatt is the next generation. We do love him. We tease him, but that's part of the process.
Yep. In a way, it's almost like a hazing thing.
We give him a lot of like, you know, swelled head stuff because we want to see him crash and burn with his ego. So we tell him how good he is, and then when he gets too big for his britches, we make fun of him. It's kind of a fun thing that we do with him. It's kind of cool. Eddie, you've been very horny lately. I've noticed like a lot of posts on Discord have been sex oriented. Like, what's going on? Are you in heat, dude?
You know, I think it's that season.
Oh shit! You know what I forgot? I forgot to bring up the big thing.
What big thing?
The big thing.
What big thing?
Come out wherever you are.
You were supposed to save that.
Well, I can announce it now and then make another video.
Now you're spoiling that part. That was supposed to be a big reveal.
No, I can make it now too. So, everybody who is anywhere near the region of the tri-state area within, I'm going to say, 3 or 4 or 5 hours of Newark, New Jersey, in September on the 30th, I have all but 100% confirmed. In fact, I told them I would be there. My appearance at the Iron Garden at QXT's in Newark, September 30th, and the event starts in the evening. Everything's to be announced a little bit more formally, but it is official. There is going to be an in-person get-together. You are probably going to be getting to meet me and Camilla and probably Fleshy. He's already said he's put in his notice at work to get that week off. So he says hopefully he'll be there.
In fact, he said it wasn't a question of if he could have it off. It was a request that he's taking off without question.
Right. So he's taking off already. I think Eddie's said that he's going to try to make it. Quite a few other people have said they're going to make it. So I'm trying to get as many people as we can get without like having it be totally like, oh, I'm going to get shot by somebody who doesn't like me. So we're trying to make this a nice public outing in a public place. And, you know, I'm hoping to get like at least 5, but it might be like 20 people. So we'll see how many people actually come to this. And we get a good showing. That'll be really cool. If we can get in there and we have like a big entourage of people and just everybody get together to meet up, not just to meet me, but to meet each other. You know, Atropa's coming. There we go. Atropa said she's coming. Eddie's coming. All right, cool. So that's already 5 people right there. So we've already got 5 people saying they're coming, besides me, you know, total. So let's see if we can get that to 10 or 20 people. You don't have to pay me shit. That was the other side of this. Is I was like, we were going to set this up so we were going to rent a space and do all this. It was a cool idea, but then we found out about this, and people can come, and it's $10 for the event and $20 for the club after. So the event's like $10. It's like a 2-hour thing all about the shadow. I offered to do the keynote, so they'll probably have me do the keynote, hopefully. And it's like a 2-hour, 3-hour presentation. After it's all over, everybody goes to the club below, and it should be goth and 80s, you know, new wave, dark wave type stuff.
You know, it's going to be a real fun way to spend our anniversary weekend.
Oh, shit, I forgot about that. Is that why I got the cold shoulder the first time I brought it up? You're like, oh.
I didn't give you a cold shoulder about it. That was just my anxiety flaring.
I know that.
You know me.
I know that. That's why I said it, so that I...
You know me. I admit to that.
This way it gets you to speak about it. So,
Daggers.
Sexy daggers. No comment.
You sexy daggers, just you wait.
Hey.
My karambit is pretty fucking sexy.
I got a couple. Well, that was my karambit that I had you get.
No, it's my own personal karambit. I got my own. I won't borrow from you.
No, but I'm saying, never mind. I'm being
Oh.
funny. Whenever I buy something, I gotta buy 2 of them.
I bought my own.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing because I like the angry look. When it's not serious anger,
That's
I
why
like
I
it.
throw it out there for you.
When it's serious anger, I don't like it. It's not fun. So if you guys are in the area, set the date, and I will be making an announcement video, and I'll be starting to announce it pretty much every week from here till then. So, Gauge the Mage, will you be putting up a video? I don't know. I will have to see what they let us do. If someone comes and wants to be a videographer or a picture taker, I'd be cool with that if they are. If they don't have a problem with someone like videotaping the whole thing and maybe streaming it, I would be really down with that. I think that would be really fucking cool. They might not do it though because it's meant to be like a little paid event. It's not expensive. It's like $10 or something, like 10 or 15 bucks to get in. So I really don't know about that. But if it can be streamed, I would love to have someone who's willing to be the videographer and to go for that. So T2AV, it'll be in Newark, New Jersey. So if you're within a reasonable travel distance of Newark, New Jersey on the 30th of September, it's open admission. You don't have to worry about nothing. I would like to get a head count. And if you want to stay abreast of all the plans, what we're going to do, where we're going to try to hang out there or whatever, get on the Discord server and join there, get yourself into it, and then find the channel that says East Coast Meetup. And that's the one where we're talking all about it. So if we can do it live, I will. If there's any way to do it, I will. I at the very least want to get somebody who volunteers to take pictures and video, and you know, this way I can add it to my portfolio crap I've done. And I'd like to make it a regular thing. If we can make this a regular thing, you know, maybe like 3 or 4 times a year would be really awesome, or even just once a year, that would be really fucking awesome. So unfortunately, Wyatt wouldn't be able to get in. It's, I believe, 21 or older as the club goes. I don't remember if it's 18 or I think it's 21 or older for the club, so he wouldn't be allowed in. Eddie's gonna come as a freaking goth lounge singer. That'd be badass, dude.
Do
That'd be
it.
really cool. Well, I liked your goth Amish thing. Like the, I mean, Amish basically is goth, but like, you know, gothed it up a little bit more.
It's the original goth.
Yeah. Yeah, Discord is not my favorite thing in the world, but it's very easy to use. I have a Gilded, that's for all the political talk that pisses everybody off, and I don't recommend it unless you're like of a similar mindset. But the Discord is cool. To find the Discord, it's in the description of this video. You'll see a Linktree link. Click the Linktree link, and one of the ones near the bottom will say Discord. Click on that. Tell everybody about yourself on the tower gates, and an admin will be with you as soon as they can. If you give us a good, you know, if you fill out, if you follow the instructions, you will be given all the authorizations. That's all I can say. It's pretty open. We don't like, we try to keep it like no dicks, basically. Just don't be a dickhead. You know, the rules are the rules of Discord, plus or minus a little bit of courtesy shit. You know. I had one person join and be like, "Oh, I thought you were Luciferian. How dare you have rules? Oh, you're such a fake." Like, okay, so you're just a dick. You don't belong here then. Bye.
Yeah. That one was trouble from the start anyway.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Gilded I don't recommend. I mean, it's... The people of the world would call it a right-wing thing. It's not. It's an anti-globalist channel, so... Gilded's not for everybody though. We get down to some nitty gritty shit. You notice tonight we didn't do any politics. Like I feel kind of worn out on politics again, thankfully, which is a good thing. That means I can focus on other shit. But I've kind of like burnt out on politics for at least a couple days. So
Until the next thing happens. I say in jest.
Well, the Gilded's 21 and older, you know, 18 and older too, dude. Wyatt. But it. You know, some of the sources that you can use, geez, oh, fuck. Who would I mean, I wouldn't suggest, there's like places I could say, but I wouldn't because it's like I'd be ashamed to act like those are my sources, because it's like they're not. They're just places I go to for convenience and for entertainment, and there's a lot of them. So I mean, I don't know. I don't even know if I want to say. Eddie says, "Fuck, I'm right wing. We're all fucked." Atropa says, "I hope some of the older goth industrials replay." I agree. I'd like to see. Honestly, like, there's no era of goth I don't like. I will say the last couple years have been getting kind of flaky, but there's really no era that I don't like. There's definitely stuff I like more though. So like when we're talking like Alien Sex Fiend era, that's really cool shit. But at the same time, like, I start wanting like stuff from a few years after that. Like, I don't know, what would be the golden age for me for goth music? Jeez. I would say when I stopped following it would be like the late 90s. So everything up until the late 90s, I'm either familiar with, very familiar with, or I will remember when I hear it. It also depends, like, do you consider typo goth? I mean, I don't, but I play them in my goth mix. Like, does that make sense? Like somebody says, like, well, you like typo negative, aren't they goth? Like, kind of like Marilyn Manson isn't goth, really. It's got the vibe. It's got, not the vibe, but it's got like the, I don't know. If I had to be honest, I'd say I'm more of a typo fan than a goth fan. But if I was really being like honest, brutally, but no, I mean, I don't know. What would you say? Would you say typo is a type of goth, honey, or would you say that that's just a? I don't think it is personally.
Not exactly. Not exactly. I mean, maybe slightly, but not really.
Yeah, I mean,
no, they're more like dark rock.
Yeah.
Or something.
I mean, there's quite a few. I mean, there's so many. Sometimes I forget the names of them. I just remember, like, it was on the Goth Box. It was on this. It was on Quiet, the Goth Undead. It was on the different compilations I had. That's where I got the songs. But
yeah,
I don't know. There's so many songs that I love back then.
I mean, kind of, but not really. You wouldn't really hear.
Gary Newman's still kind of goth. Even his more recent shit, I'm like, nah, they could play that in a goth club. They get away with like, My Name Is Ruin. They could definitely get away with that in a goth club. Some of his albums were just ridiculously good. Oh my god, Gary Newman. Whew. Let's see. What would I say? Poetry of Shadows has one of my favorite songs. Lady Winter. Fucking love that song. I mean, I know what you're saying, Atropa. There's definitely ones I like, but I know what you're saying. Like, it's kind of like a lot of it's turned, like, it's become forgettable, I guess, is what I would say. There's this one that I like. What is it? Fuck. Oh, shit.
I always had a thing for Blutengel.
Yeah. Blutingle.
Yeah.
They're like German, ARP goth, ARP goth. And I like them a lot. I do like them a lot. At least, I'm not gonna say I love every song they have. But I like them a lot.
No, but I like a lot of them.
Oh, there we go. Atropa, have you ever heard of Drab Majesty? Like, I give them a pass as more modern stuff. Check out Drab Majesty if you hadn't. Especially, they have this one song, Foyer, F-O-Y-E-R. Some people just say Foyer. I was taught to say foyer because I was raised with those proper Atlantic accent people. But check out Drab Majesty. They've got some of that old, like, dark, like, new wave, dark wave kind of vibe. It's good shit. I'm terrible with names. I just know what I like. Like, I got playlists that I listen to, Like, I've got a goth playlist, but not everything on my goth playlist is goth. So it's got tons of typo. It's got a little Slayer. It's got, what's her name? Fuck.
Nyx.
Really just that one song, Diabolical.
Nyx.
Yeah, Nyx. It's got, Skinny Puppy was decent.
I love Nyx. I can't help it.
Yeah, Skinny Puppy. I don't dance, though. If you guys, like, don't think I'm the type of the goth dude who likes to go and watch everybody and hang out. I don't fucking do not think I'm gonna, if I dance, I'm gonna hit you all in the face. Like,
I think that's why we get along so well.
Like, I'm gonna be lurking in the corner watching people dance. Don't expect me to dance.
I'll be hanging on your shoulder while you do that.
I'm way too cool to dance. I'm with Eddie. We're too cool to dance.
Set us up in a booth somewhere.
And you know, there's just so many different things. So this thing is, I don't know. Someone told me that Friday nights are like the 80s night, but to my understanding, that's the goth night now. So for those of you who know QTXs or QXTs in Newark, you can let me know for sure one way or the other. Thank you for the tip, man. That's another just the tip. Good stream. Just the tip, sir. Thank you. I will accept that tip right in the tip receptacle device. I also have to watch what I drink now, because when you're on keto, drinking works extra. But and there's certain things I can't drink anymore because like it'll turn into carbs and I can't have it. In fact, apparently all alcohol turns into carbs after a while, but from my research, certain alcohols are fine, like vodkas, rums, they're all fine. I'm pretty sure I could have a Long Island iced tea with the Diet Cola in it. And that's my favorite bar drink, is a Long Island iced tea. If someone makes a good Long Island iced tea, I'm a happy motherfucker. Because it's like, I don't know, it's just my drink of choice at bar. It's the only thing strong enough that makes me feel good without having to spend $50. Like, if I try to drink beer and get like even a buzz on it, like costs me like thousands of dollars.
Are you saying Long Island iced teas don't cost $50? I beg to differ.
I mean,
years ago we went to that karaoke bar. It was $36 for two.
Yeah, because that's a ridiculous karaoke bar.
I know, and it was in the city.
But back in the day, like, you'd spend like, I don't know, $5-10 on one, and you get like 2 or 3 and you're good. I mean, I'd usually pound between 5 and 7 of the things in a couple hours.
I would have been dead.
Yeah, probably. And that wasn't when I was fat and could handle even more than that. That's when I was more like I am now. So I could still probably do 3 or 4 of them. Yeah, I mean, like I said, just so he's bringing up the goth question. He says, I'll have to check out some goth dark rock. I've been listening to Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden is pretty decent. I never really got deep into them. I had friends who loved them. Like, I was the Slayer and Metallica and Megadeth kid hanging out with the Iron Maiden kids a lot when I was like in my metal phase. And I never really left my metal phase. It's not the focus of my music love. And I've kind of like, I've fallen out of love with music in the last, I don't know, 5 or 10 years. Not that I don't like music, but I'm sick and tired of what music's become. It's so hard for me to find music that I like anymore. That's new, you know? And the only thing I find that I like that's new anymore is shit like, what is it? Like dark ambient shit, you know? What's that channel I'm always listening to that did, Cryo Chamber. Shit like that. Eddie says Long Island iced tea is a weaponized cocktail. That's what I drink, bro. That's like the bro, he says in the long a Long Island. Give me a Long Island iced tea, bro. Come on, bro. Long Island.
Oh.
Get that thing with some sugar in it. Put some sugar in the Long Island iced tea.
You're not supposed to say the R in sugar.
I didn't. I said sugar. You weren't listening.
I heard the R come out.
Well, you can say a soft R.
No, that was a hard R.
Hard R, hard R!
T2AV, where are you from? You like old Slipknot or Korn? I used to.
Yeah, not really. I remember when Korn first hit the scene, and it was in I guess the late 90s, and everyone was excited because they were playing like around the corner from where I was living. And I think they were playing down in at the time I was living. Yeah, I was living right there. It was like a block or two away. I'm pretty sure they're playing. And my friend got really excited. I'm going to see Korn. It's like, all right, that's cool, but I liked a few Korn songs, but they weren't really my thing. I don't like that kind. Like, it just doesn't do it for me. it's just something about it.
I haven't listened to them in a long time.
I like melodic metal, and I like...
Yeah.
The big three are always going to be my favorites. Although Metallica got shitty after a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Metallica was good for most of its time. Megadeth had quite a few good songs. I don't know, there's quite a few songs I like Mary Jane. I like a couple songs. Slayer's weird because I don't like every song they did, but South of Heaven is my favorite Slayer album, and every single song it's like, you know, a magic spell to me. Like, South of Heaven, that whole album is... I'll give you guys a hint. Some of the best invocations I've ever done for rituals have been reciting the lyrics from Slayer songs specifically. I know it sounds corny, but South of Heaven has some of my favorite curses in it. Okay? Some of my favorite, like, sending evil spirits towards things, you know, six-sided warriors, sleeping souls will arise, once forgotten soldiers, you know, come to life. Oh man, you're like conjuring, you know, evil spirits to destroy your enemy. It's good shit.
Mm-hmm.
Good shit. Another good band that people don't think about is Candlemass. Candlemass is interesting because they're like, I don't know what you call them, like doom metal or something. I don't know what you'd call them. Maybe not doom metal. I forget what you... Let me look it up. What do they consider Candlemass? And Candlemass is like, that's like deep in the... Like, I don't think they were ever on the radio. What do they consider them? What type of music is that? Yeah, epic doom metal. Okay, yeah, they're considered doom metal. Candlemass is good shit. Yes, I actually like Michelle. Yeah, Michelle Tony brings up Old Sabbath with Dio. I actually like Dio. A lot of people go, I don't like Dio. I like Dio and Sabbath. Like, fuck, what's that one song that's in the heavy metal movie that I love? Fuck.
I know which one you're talking about. I'm horrible with names.
Fuck, I can't remember names. I just go, play that song with that shit in it. Fuck.
I can't think.
I'm also getting tired.
Like I said, I'm horrible with names.
I'm especially horrible right now. What the fuck is that song? It was in the heavy metal soundtrack. You're all fools when the mob rules. Maybe the thing's called Mob Rules. That's it.
Mob Rules.
Yeah, Mob Rules. I fucking love Mob Rules. Oh my god, that song is so perfect, especially now. That song is like so.
Yeah.
Something about that song. Just like that song is like so perfect right now. Yeah, Eddie says Candlemass is big doom. Oh, Eddie, I think it was you who turned me on to Karl. Like Karl, thank you again. Like Karl, especially that one album where I can't remember the name of the album. It's one of their more recent ones. Let me see. Dark Majesty. Oh my god, that album is just fucking great.
I'm gonna be getting a little bit of noise. The oil burner's going on.
Okay.
Just so you know.
all like, instead of doing a live stream, I'm looking stuff up and like talking about it. Dickhead. But yeah, Kal-El is good shit. Eddie has a playlist 70 days long. I buy it because my relaxation is probably way more than that, because it's all like 10-hour ambient tracks. So it's we'd be here for a long time. Let's see. Tropa asks if I know who Leather Strip is. I think I do. I probably don't know them by name. I think I've heard them. I'm gonna have to say they might have been on a compilation I might remember. You know, if you talk about goth, you gotta talk about like Sisters of Mercy. Everyone's like, oh, is that goth? Yeah, it is. Like, okay, here's one that people probably... This was like right at when I started to fall out of going to goth stuff. Was like Switchblade Symphony. Magenta was one of my favorite bands, goth bands. If you ever heard of Magenta, Magenta's cool. They're like... They're goth industrial. Fuck, there's just so many that are good.
I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go wash my hands real quick.
Okie dokie.
All sticky.
I'm gonna mute you for a second, so.
Yeah, mute me. It's fine.
People are complaining about you. I'm kidding. They're not complaining. T2AV, would you stop with the money? I appreciate it, though. Thank you. Thank you for that buck. I appreciate it so much. I'm only teasing. You can keep sending me money. Switchblade's first album was amazing. Yes, Roderick, I think it was too. Like, that's the thing. There's so many that I remember that I don't remember because I don't follow stuff like other people. Like, I don't... Part of my problem is that I have really good taste in music, or so I'm told. It's just that my memory to like keep up with it just sucks these days. Especially since I don't... So this is what I really miss. I miss when you had something like MTV that would, you know, especially when they had like Headbangers Ball and all that stuff. I really miss that shit. Like, that was, you know, really good. Oh, Camilla's back. Let me unmute her. All right, show us your paper towel rolls there.
Woo! I miss Headbangers Ball. I also miss VH1's Insomniac Theater.
Yeah, that too. But I kind of miss it because it was like a way for me to hear new music, and it was something I could have on in the background of shit. And nowadays, I refuse. Maybe call me like a boomer and stupid, but I refuse to get Spotify or any of these things and pay them money.
Yeah.
You know, to take the place of what used to be free all over the place.
Yeah.
And if you want to put commercials on it, that's fine. But give me my music back, man. Like, you know, fuck that shit. I'm not paying you for shit.
Come on, man. Give me my music back.
I know that's shitty because I know that's how they get money. But find another way to make money.
No, they
have it
another way.
Make it a subscription service. Like, fuck you. And YouTube pisses me off with that because they know that people try to use YouTube as a jukebox. So when it's on my computer, I have ad blockers, so it doesn't cause a problem. But when it's on my phone, it's constantly giving me ads. So it's like I can't even listen to music on my phone, you know, without constantly hovering my finger over the skip button.
Me too. Clowncore, yes, that's freaking hysterical shit.
Clowncore.
Clowncore. Remember with the car ride? They were playing the instruments in the car as they were driving down the road. Flushy shared it with us one time.
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh my god, I love that.
T2AV gives us another $5. Says Happy Canada Day. Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day.
Friggin', yeah. Unfortunately, Canada's becoming quite the authoritarian regime, but other than that, Canada's got some of my favorite people in it. Some of my favorite actors come from Canada.
Yeah.
One of my favorite TV shows, in fact. Trailer Park Boys, woo! Yeah, T2, I will never get YouTube Premium because it's bad enough that they make money on me as it is. YouTube is the devil. It's an NSA freaking program. It's bullshit. It's part of Google. Fuck that shit. It's Alphabet and all that crap. Hell no. The fact that I use it is all the money I want them to ever get out of me. I don't want to pay for them.
Nope.
But I'm not saying if somebody bought me a subscription, I wouldn't take it, but I wouldn't pay for it.
Is that a hint?
No, it's just a point.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
No, it's not. It's not a hint.
Just ribbing ya.
I mean, what is it, like $10 a month or something? I have enough $10 a month things. Sorry.
Especially for something like YouTube.
Yeah, and you can just use, ad blockers and, fuck these people.
The only time it bothers me is when I'm casting it to the TV. When I cast it to the TV, no joke, like every minute there's 2 commercials. And some of them you can't skip.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta be honest, YouTube's like my favorite thing. Like, YouTube is, in theory, my favorite thing. It's everything public access TV wished it was back in the day, and it's all the best parts of public access TV. It's fucking great. I love especially YouTube from like 10, 20 years ago was like the coolest shit in the world. And the fact that it's still okay now is pretty, even with everything going on, even with all the politics and shit, it's still pretty good shit. But one thing that bothers me about it now, though, is my interests are way more than just politics, and all it wants to show me is political videos now, which is sad. Because something about, I must have watched enough of them that it thinks that's all I want to watch, and I have to actually go looking for other content. So in my feed, it'll be like, politics, 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 video game, politics, 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 something about spirituality, politics, 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 and it gets kind of just like really stupid.
It's funny, I get mostly true crime. True crime and nail polish videos.
And those ads, they are like little vampires, because they're either gonna suck your money or they're gonna suck your frustration, because nobody watches those things and says, ooh, I'm gonna buy that.
No.
I don't know. I can't remember the last time I ever clicked on
It's the total
one of those.
opposite. It's like, you're gonna frickin' infuriate me with this shit. There's no way in hell I'm gonna buy any of this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when the YouTubers plug Raid Shadow Legends and stuff, it doesn't make me want to play it.
No. But I give them a pass, because it's like, at least they're getting paid directly for it. I give them a pass.
Yeah.
Especially the ones that'll put a time link stamp that so you can skip it.
Yeah.
Like, they get extra for me. Like, I love them.
I hope I didn't just plug that.
Yeah. Well, no.
We're not getting paid for it.
No, I think you can just mention
Can you
it.
censor that out later?
Nope. Nina says, Happy Canada Day and July 4th long weekend, folks. Have fun and enjoy. Please follow me on Odyssey. Want to move over there. Less restrictions. I do too, but I don't feel like trying to build up a whole... I should. I'm getting lazy again. And but definitely follow Nina on both, on whatever she's on. I'm on BitChute as an alternative, and I'm on Odyssey. I should go... I do have Odyssey. I just don't use it, like, actively. Like, all my videos are backed up on Odyssey. If I ever disappear, you can catch me on Odyssey and BitChute. If something ever happens to me here, that's where I'm going to end up. But, yeah. And Alexander C. says, I stopped anything political on YouTube because it cascades the algorithm. It absolutely does. And it's because they also want to shoehorn it into your face. So as much as YouTube is trying to, like, screw over small creators when it comes to politics, they're also part of the propaganda machine, and they want to make sure that people are ginned up. So they are... politics is absolutely getting, because politics gets the most views. It just does. Cat videos get a lot of views, but people don't watch cat videos with the same ferocity that they do, an FJB,
Yeah.
or a Trump video or something like that. All that stuff's going to get way more views. Something controversial gets way more views. So they amplify that shit. And because they're trying to push narratives, they'll try to amplify shit that they want to amplify. So it's like a triple whammy. You're not just getting the fact that you're watching it too much, reinforcing the algorithm. It's their algorithm is really, really keyed in to shove that in your face. That's right, Eddie. YouTube is just one of their oil derricks for extracting your behavioral data. And don't use TikTok with anything resembling your actual data or info. If you use TikTok, you're fucking yourself. I've been telling people that for like 5 years now, and everyone thinks I'm crazy.
Any social media, don't use your real name. They already know it, but guess what?
But TikTok's even worse, and I'll tell you why. Because TikTok actually gets access to shit on your phone that no one else gets.
Yep.
And it's all bad. Like, they actually get your fucking the patterns that you use when you're typing. They actually record that shit, your keystroke
Keylogging.
patterns. Yeah, your not just keylogging, the patterns, your biometric keylogging. Like, they can tell it's you typing. I'm not kidding. Like, they can tell it's you typing. That's the data they're fucking getting. Don't use TikTok. Delete TikTok. Do not use it. If you want to watch TikTok, fine. Use your fucking VPN, use your shit, hide behind the right browser, and watch it through the browser. Do not watch it through the app. Do not install that app. I never will. If I install that app, it's going to be on a burner phone. You know, I got a question. When you click on the ads, Atrop is saying, I've never clicked on any of the ads on YouTube. I just skip them.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I wonder? If you watch them or click on them, does it cost them more? Like, do they have to pay somebody? You know? Like, how does that work? So, like, I wonder, like, it'd be better to just click on all the ads. It used to be, back in the dawn of the internet age, when I was designing websites, originally you got paid per click. So, like, when someone clicked on your website and they clicked on an ad on your website, that's when you got paid. Not when you showed them the ad, but when someone clicked through the ad.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's how it is anymore.
It's like a lot of news sites. If you click on the news sites, they get bonuses too. Certain ones.
And he says, TikTok is about to be banned in the US. Yes, I've heard that too.
Yep.
There's a formal request to Apple and Google, but I have heard, quote, that the NSA is fucking pissed at the data being accessed from China. The thing is, NSA is pissed because they're not the only ones now. And China's got their hooks into data that's theirs. The funny thing about being mad at TikTok like I am is that I'm overlooking the fact that all these other ones got you by the balls too. As Eddie said, all these are oil extraction derricks that are just, and they're taking that data and they're doing shit with it. And you want to know the one that should keep you up at night? China, for some weird ass reason, is buying everybody's DNA data.
Yep.
Why? Why is China buying everybody's? So like when, like, you know, I had family who had me do one and I knew what it was for. And I'm like, fuck it. If they're going to kill me with my DNA, then so be it. Like if that's a way to die early, then like I'll die and be like, put that on my bingo card. Like, whoa, that's a way I didn't know I'd ever die.
You know what it is too? It's like, you know, everybody in the family did it now, so it's like, well, they kind of have my DNA too. My mom and dad did it, so therefore they have mine.
Well, they don't, but they do.
They don't, but they do.
But you know, why is China buying all the DNA data from all these DNA services? Interesting. Yep, exactly, Alexander C. Custom bioweapons type shit. Thanks, China. Exactly right.
That and maybe seeing who is viable for certain black market organ harvesting.
Probably, possibly. Yep. But I think it has more to do with ethnic weapons, ethnic bioweapons, honestly. And I remember the grapevine talking about that's partially what's going on in the place with the blue and yellow flag, and that's why everybody's so upset. And that's why they're fighting so hard to keep it. But you know, we're not going to political stream tonight. But that is one of the conspiracy theories that I don't say is wrong. I'm going to say there's probably something to that. Something to that.
Well, remember, in science, the term theory doesn't mean it's not proven.
Yeah, well, good point. Conspiracy theory was a term that the CIA came up with to make people who were onto them look stupid.
Yep.
Yeah, the NSA and all that shit, people do not know. You just don't know. You don't know what, I mean, Eddie knows. Eddie's got a pretty decent idea. We live in a bubble of normalcy that is just so not real. It's not even funny. I can't even put into, like, I have to use, like, I don't know, logarithmic terms to tell you how fucked you are, like, with this shit that you don't even know. And I am not a computer expert. Like, I know people are like, Thorne, you got to do this and that. I'm like, I know, but I know that my data's out there so much. What's the point, man? You know, like, I'd love to deprive them of the pipe from my balls, but, you know, at this point, I'm so balls deep that it's like I have to start over. I'll also tell you, like, it used to be you could turn all these services off. Now, all these services are on where if you say the wrong thing in front of your phone, you'll get an ad for it from now on. You know, it does pick that shit up, and there's no question about it.
Yep.
So. Yeah. Well, I think we're going to start wrapping up soon. What's your projects looking like out there right now?
I got a bunch of, I got 3 frames drying right now, curing. They're gonna sit overnight, and then either tomorrow night or the next day, I'm gonna give them a second coat of resin. I do have some finished and just about ready for going up. This one I still have to install the eye. This is the first snake one I did. Sneaky. Harvested humanely from my pet snake. His
the shed.
His fresh shed. And this is the crow, the mini.
That one always reminds me of like a 1920s movie star.
Yeah, like almost like a flapper kind of thing.
Little vanity mirror for a flapper.
You know? Yeah. And there's a big one that matches. Big one. So these I gotta get the hangers on them still on the back, but they gotta get weighed and measurements and everything, listings made, and they'll probably be up come Monday.
Yeah, give me some heads up because we can do a special buy our crap stream, unlike this buy our crap stream.
Yeah, I mean realistically, I could probably have them up tomorrow night.
Yeah, don't rush. I like putting them all up at once so we get a big blast, and then...
I do too, because, you know, what it is about the whole Etsy thing is it's easier for me to do all the listings at once, because it's, I don't know, it's...
I got an idea. What if, I don't know if you can count how many runs you've done so far, but maybe we should start counting them as production runs. Like, this is run 1, run 2. This way you could even, like, number them a little bit.
Well, I do number them.
That's what I'm saying.
I have
like,
them numbered when I put them up for sale.
Yeah.
Because
well,
for me, it's an inventory thing, and then I don't have like 2 that were listed as number 1s, but it's like I'll put them in the box. They're all wrapped with the paper and everything ready to ship, and then on the box I'll write like number 32.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll know that that's the standard mirror because it's in the bigger box. The mini mirrors are in the smaller box, and I'll write like mini number 5 on it or something. So then I could just grab the box and get everything packed and shipped. Because it's just easier for me. That's why these are all here.
All right.
It makes it easier.
That's the big seller lately, because we've got so much crap going on. Like, I am in between projects lately so bad that I don't have anything really. Ooh, purple.
Purple eye. Is
that a glowy?
Purple snake. No. This is for the purple snake mirror, though.
Okay.
But yeah, that about sums it up for now.
Yeah. All right, I'm starting to wind down. So usually we do 3 hours, but I'm kind of like I'm on my fuck it phase now.
Yes, Nina, you did get the first one.
Did she?
The first one from Etsy.
The first one.
The official first one from Etsy went to Nina. Yes. The first one that I sold went to Elena.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Elena just gave us, that was fucking awesome.
Oh.
Oh man, that stuff was awesome.
It's awesome.
She's actually moving into the area. She might be able to come to the event too. I'd love it if she could.
That would be awesome to meet her.
That'd be fucking great. But we are planning on having a hangout just with her. Maybe we'll stream that too.
That'd be cool.
So yeah. All right, gang. I guess that's going to be it for tonight. I want to thank everybody, especially those of you who contributed with super chats or questions. I appreciate you so much. I know I seem to rant about the same things every week, but I find it always a new way to say the same things. You guys seem to always find a way to like it, so I'll keep doing it. And I really hope that some of you guys, besides just Eddie and Atropa, will come to the September 30th hangout. I'm looking forward to it. You'll probably get to see I'm a very different person in person than I am when I'm doing this kind of shit. I'm actually way more laid back when I'm not actively trying to entertain. Or keep, I was always taught, like, don't have too much empty space in a presentation. So that's one of the reasons I blab so much. But, hopefully we all get to meet up, do something fun, and get to know each other a little bit more in September. So I'll be announcing this every week till it's time. But keep your eyes open. Other than that, if you want to support our work, the best thing you do is go to that Linktree link, purchase a mirror from my wife from the Etsy. You can buy one of my books. I have 3 of them up currently, with a 4th always in progress. At some point I want to do fiction, but we'll see.
The storefront right now is a little slim pickings.
Yeah, that's got to get filled, and my website is basically just a placeholder again, because I'm trying to finish this current book and everything included with it to turn that website into a companion to the book. That's sort of the plan. So that's coming someday. I don't know when. I've stopped doing ritual services for a while. I'm trying to focus. So problem with doing ritual services for people is they usually have the wrong mindset. That ends up infecting me with their mindset because I'm dumb. And then I have to start over. So long story short, I'm not doing ritual services for people for a little while. But they will return at some point. So until, I guess, next week, make sure you continue minding the shadows. The world is full of them. And it does seem to be that everybody's noticing them more, which is a good thing. But just noticing them is not enough. You have to integrate those fuckers so that you no longer feel like they control you.
Real quick, I do take custom orders too. Hit me up on either Discord or Etsy, and I will work with you on that.
Especially for the summer.
You know, I just got one. It's ready to go tomorrow.
Yep.
I'm excited about that.
She likes the custom orders. They're fun.
Gets my creative juices flowing, and it keeps me going.
Yep. And I love it when your juices get flowing. Good night, everybody!
Hey.